Black Lives Matter murals continue to get defaced and destroyed all across the nation as Americans are increasingly rebelling against the far left. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest incidents of BLM murals getting trashed and see how opinion polls are turning decisively against this far left Marxist organization. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone, patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If this is your first time with us and you're looking for some daily encouragement and optimism as well as analysis to help you make sense of these crazy times we're living in, you've found your oasis in this channel. We post 2 videos a day, analyze the current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so that you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'll be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we together celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Now, before we dive in here, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's Prepper's Peak new solar water heater. With all the lockdowns we just witnessed over the last several months, this solar water heater can actually turn out to be our very best friend. The solar water heater is an amazing device that allows you to heat and boil water outdoors using simply sunlight. It can heat water in as little as 30 minutes and it'll work anywhere the sun shines. You could use it to boil water, to cook noodles and rice and sterilize water for drinking. It's easy to clean and it can be used quite literally anywhere there's sunlight. And the best part is that if you click on the link below, you'll get 15% off. So what can be better? Do not wait. Click on the link below before they sell out and get your own Patriot Sun cooker today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Americans are rebelling against BLM Marxists all across the country. There's no other way of putting it. And one of the ways that revolt is manifesting itself is in the destruction and defacing of BLM murals. Now, again, it never ceases to astonish me how a movement that came to the fore by destroying and tearing down monuments could be so incensed that others would do the same to their monuments. It's the epitome of leftist arrogance and condescension that what they impose on others, others cannot impose on them. But regardless, that's precisely what is happening, regardless of their willful blindness. Let's start in Orlando. Now, for the second time since it was painted in downtown Orlando, a BLM mural was defaced with tire tracks. The first time, it was painted over with statements like abolish BLM and the like. And of course, when it comes to selective outrage, no one provided a better masterclass of that than one mayor of Orlando, who actually said, and again, he thinks people actually take him seriously when he talks like this. He actually said, "We're deeply saddened that a symbol of our commitment to ending racial inequality created together with our community was vandalized. We find this type of behavior disturbing. It has no place in our city, and this will not deter our efforts to bring about real change in action." Now, where was the expression of this deep sadness when the symbols of our national heritage were being ripped down by these very same protesters and demonstrators who are now champions of racial justice? Where was this denunciation of disturbing behavior then? It's so cringeworthy at this point, that this asymmetry, it's just politically correct banter that no one takes seriously. Let's go to Indianapolis. A BLM mural there was defaced just 1 week after it was painted. The mural was covered with splatters of white and gray paint, with every letter of the slogan marked with splashes of paint, of course, symbolic of the disapproval of this turning public streets into a political message board. Let's go to Spokane, Washington. A 140-foot mural on the side of a building in downtown Spokane was defaced with red, white, and blue paint. And, you know, Frank, we could go on and on and on. In New York, in downtown Manhattan, the far-left Mayor Bill de Blasio, his attempt at provoking President Trump with his painting BLM on the street across from Trump Tower, well, that was assaulted again. The New York Times is absolutely livid over the fact that the mural has been vandalized for the 5th time in just days, every single week. This is the New York Times here, right? They're angry. They're so upset at this. Every single week, this glorious monument to social justice that, of course, was painted just to antagonize and smirk at President Trump, being painted directly in front of Trump Tower. But the left-wing activists disguised as journalists in the New York Times, they're absolutely incensed. They're livid. that this majestic mural has been utterly defaced and vandalized. In fact, things are so bad when it comes to protecting and preserving this mural that the ultra-left New York mayor, Bill de Blasio, is paying overtime to dozens of police officers to guard the mural. And of course, the irony of such a move by the self-anointed BLM mayor, it couldn't be more stark. Remember, not only did de Blasio propose to cut $1 billion from the NYPD budget, devastating the morale of police officers throughout the city and its 5 boroughs, not only did he do that, but shootings have surged by more than 358% during the summer when compared to the same time last year. That's an almost 400% increase in shootings throughout New York City. So there's a double irony here. Not only do you have de Blasio redefining law and order by giving a priority to a stupid mural painted to provoke President Trump while the city experiences an unprecedented crime wave, but then when it comes to protecting and enforcing that redefined law and order, de Blasio turns to the very NYPD that he's intentionally trying to cripple. It's pathetic, but alas, no matter how many police officers they put on detail to guard this mural, it just, it just keeps getting vandalized. And we can see why. Americans are indeed turning against the BLM Marxists in droves. We featured the website Civics in our other videos. They track opinion trends over the course of weeks and months. And what we're finding is that opposition against BLM has surged by 10 points over the last several weeks to 37%. And support has dropped from a high of 53% down to the current 49%. And look at this. This is a graph of white support and opposition towards BLM. And you could clearly see that a plurality of whites oppose Black Lives Matter. 46% has steadily been going up. And if you factor in those who don't care, those who don't give a rip about BLM, that number actually surges to 60%. 60% of whites either oppose or they don't give a crap about BLM. It's an astonishing number. But then check this out. If we break it down further to white males, 53% oppose BLM. Nearly 70% of white males either oppose BLM or they don't give a crap about it. Only 33% of white males actually support this Marxist movement. We have to remember again, this is something, frankly, you're never going to hear from the mainstream Marxist media, but we've got to remember that the Democrats lost the white vote. Okay, they have not had a majority of whites voting for them since 1964. Now think it through. If political correctness is there to protect all things leftist liberal, and if whites, particularly white males, haven't voted for the leftist liberal party in over 40 years, is it a coincidence that we keep hearing that the single greatest force for evil on the planet is the white male? Is that any surprise that white supremacy and male patriarchy are blamed for every sin under the sun? I mean, it's the epitome of fake news. It's left-wing globalist propaganda designed to discredit and disparage the major political demographic that rejects and opposes and stands in the way of leftist liberals exercising total power over our nation. So we're clearly seeing a game being played out in front of us via the Democrats and their minions in the mainstream media. The vast majority of whites, particularly white men, reject this as nonsense. And so they need to be discredited. They need to be disgraced and dismissed. That's the media's job. But make no mistake, such disparaging dismissiveness is only increasing white animosity towards leftist liberals. Remember, Hillary Clinton lost the white vote so badly in 2016. Here's the key. That even if she had received Obama's turnout among blacks, she still would have lost. This is why Biden's attempt at reconfiguring the Obama coalition, right, by picking Kamala Harris, is so futile. Trump won among whites by such a huge margin that even if Hillary were able to get Obama's turnout among blacks, she still would have lost. And you've got to ask yourself, how well do you think the Democrats have endeared themselves to white male voters since the 2016 election? Well, here we have the proof. We've got the answer. The vast majority of white males reject the Democrats' embracing of BLM and the new moral conscience of their party. And so, what do you think we could expect to see in November? We're going to see white voters, particularly white men, vote for Trump by margins that could very well exceed the overwhelming margins that we saw in 2016. And it's not just whites. I'm sure many of you are familiar with a black woman by the name of Bevelyn Beatty, who was arrested for dumping paint on the BLM Street mural outside of Trump Tower. And in fact, she live streamed herself doing the very same thing to similar BLM murals in Harlem and in Brooklyn. And instead of defund the police, her slogan, I love it, is refund the police, which, by the way, is the sentiment of the vast majority of black Americans. Most black Americans oppose vehemently defunding the police by an overwhelming margin. It's perhaps the single most unpopular proposal in our national politics is being shoved down our throats by the Marxist media. And the reason that Bevelyn is doing this is because she recognizes that BLM is an anti-Christian Marxist movement. She said so herself. And so she likes to post video of her defacing these murals with the hashtag Jesus Matters. So she's not buying this Marxist nonsense for a second. So I think what we're seeing here in the defacing of the BLM monuments really is nothing less than a massive backlash against the far left that's mobilizing both whites and blacks who aren't buying the far left's attempt at destroying our law enforcement and our cultural monuments. They're just not buying it. We have to remember that the only ones who are buying this radical destruction are those on the far left and the cultural Marxists in our mainstream media. And that's because we're living at a time when our political class, our ruling elite, our political, educational, media, entertainment elite actually believe that the violation of politically correct norms justifies violent behavior. Right? We've talked about this in a number of other videos, but it's very important for us to understand. As far as our political class are concerned, if politically correct norms are violated, violence is justified. If an act has been deemed as racist, sexist, homophobic, whatever it is, you're allowed to deface and destroy it. But if it's being done in the name of wokeness, in the name of so-called social justice, then whatever you are doing, it is by definition beyond reproach. It is immune from any and all criticism or comparable resistance. So this is why you can pull down Confederate statues. Heck, this is why you can pull down any statue. You can pull down Washington Jefferson statues. You could destroy and deface such monuments with impunity while at the same time destroying and defacing politically correct monuments such as BLM murals will get you arrested and charged with a hate crime. Right? So if you burn the American flag, it's an expression of free speech protected under the First Amendment. But if you burn a rainbow flag, right, an LGBT rainbow flag, you're arrested for a hate crime. That's the world of political correctness. That is the default ethical norm of our political class. But make no mistake, it's collapsing. Political correctness is dying. Every study shows it. And so it's hypocritical virtue signaling, as far as I'm concerned, is going to collapse right along with it. And it can't happen fast enough. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on Goodyear stock plummeting after President Trump calls for a national boycott against this newly woke corporation. You are not going to want to miss that. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.